Good evening, everyone. Adequate notice of this public work session and executive meeting setting forth date, time, and location has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. On January 13th, 2023, January 27th, 2023, October 2nd, 2023. I prominently posted a copy on the bulletin board of the lobby of the offices of the New England Board of Education, which is a public place reserved for such conduct. Transmitting a copy of this notice to the record delayed today happened to rain from municipal clerk, district website. Please note this meeting was rescheduled from October 5th, 2023. Since today. Ask you, please stand for the flag salute, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Roll call.
Mr. Patel?
Here.
Mr. Giordano?
Here.
Mr. Pavlak?
Here.
Mr. Persakos?
Present.
Mrs. Rudoloso?
Here.
And Mrs. Winter?
Here.
So for my administrative summary report, I have to, I'm required to provide the board and the community with the Student Safety Data System report. So let me just get through this. Semi-annual report under NJSA 18A 17-46 of incidents of violence, vandalism, weapons and substance abuse offenses, and harassment, intimidation, and bullying, which took place in our schools during the period January 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2023. Pursuant to statute, I'm required to report to the board 2 times per year at public meetings all acts of violence, vandalism, and harassment, intimidation, and bullying which occurred during the previous reporting period. Tonight I'm reporting incidents that took place during reporting period 2 as reported to the New Jersey Department of Education through the Student Safety Data System. SSDS replaces the former Electronic Violence and Vandalism System. It also requires each school district to report more and different data than in the past. For example, all HIV investigations, both alleged and confirmed, must now be reported. In addition, all removals, for example, suspensions for disciplinary reasons, must be reported for both general education and special education students. So the numbers being reported may appear higher in some instances than the totals reported in prior years. For that reason, it's tough to draw conclusions on any increases in reported totals due to the state requiring more information under the new system. Our schools continue to maintain an excellent record of investigation, documenting, reporting, and handling incidents in a timely and efficient manner. For the reporting period 2, throughout the district, there were incidents in total, 25 incidents of violence. That includes assaults, fights, and threats. 2 incidents of vandalism, 22 incidents of substance abuse. That includes substance possession, suspected, and possession with a refused exam, use confirmed, and sale or distribution. There were 133 general code of conduct incidents, which led to educational removal, and 73 confirmed incidents of HIV out of a total of 194 that were investigated. The 73 confirmed HIV cases involve the categories of race, 19 cases, ancestry and ethnicity, and national origin, 6 cases, religion, 9, gender, 6, sexual orientation, 3, power imbalance, 4, disability, 2, and distinguishing or perceived characteristics of students, 24. Cases were investigated by the anti-bullying specialist with guidance and support by principals and the district anti-bullying coordinator. Consequences of remediation efforts for offending students included individual counseling, student-parent conferences, discipline in accordance with the code of conduct. Remedial measures for targeted students included counseling, support services, parent conferences, schedule changes, stay-away agreements, teacher aid monitors during the school day, adult-student pairings, and other monitoring measures. In addition, each school has instituted programming, including the district-wide initiative, No Place for Hate, intended to reduce bullying and improve climate. Okay, so that's that part. What I'd like to do is just talk a little bit about some really nice recognition that the district is receiving, so we'll talk about this a little bit more at our next meeting. But what's exciting to know is that today we found out that both of our high schools received the AP Honor Roll recognition. Okay, so that's something that very few school districts receive, very few high schools receive. I will talk a little bit more about it at our next meeting, and but I'm very happy for both high schools. The general idea behind the AP Honor Roll is to expand opportunities to take AP coursework to more students. while not having a decrease in performance. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is turn things over to Mr. Moffett, and he's going to provide the board with some exciting news we received today regarding the ride grant program.
It actually seemed like only yesterday we talked about it in the Finance Committee. So we were expecting what they call PEC letters from the Department. The Department of Education has already reported out through the Governor's Office that they were awarding rod grants, and we were in the newspapers to the degree that we had an amount, about $900,000. So today, this afternoon, we received those PEC letters, which the guidance right now is that you'll see them at our next meeting. I'll put them on as emergent so we can keep the timelines going and shoot for potential lift-off in the summer. It's like a summer project. So basically, there are 4 facility projects, right? So the first one is APT partial roof. Second is Ryerson partial roof. TD partial roof, and then Wayne Hills High School boiler replacement project. So across that, as a total, that's $954,812, which is a 40% grant on a total project of $2,387,029. So that's the total project. So we receive funding for those projects. So what we do now is we're going to approve it, really acknowledge that we received the letters, and then process the paperwork, which is always the case with the Department of Education. The next step would be we send off some information to the SDA. We get a grant document back from the SDA, and then we're ready to go and start awarding contracts. So that's exciting news. It was something that we saw in the newspaper. We were told it was coming, and today we received it. So it's a nice way to leverage the funds that we have. These are all, remember, projects where we've taken various withdrawals to make sure when we applied, we confirmed that we had the local share. We have that, and there are other projects also that was also discussed on a roundtable prior to that they still look like they have money for additional projects. So stay tuned. We may have some additional PEC letters coming down the pipe.
Thanks. Excellent. So we have great news on that front. We hope to receive news within the next few days about the tutoring grant we submitted. And so that's something that's still outstanding. Some districts have been notified, we have not. And so we hope to hear news, and when we do, we'll certainly notify the board and talk about it at our next meeting, hopefully. The last thing I'd like to ask Mrs. Reichman to talk about is the profile of a graduate project. So it's one of our district goals. And we had a meeting today, one of our first district-wide meetings regarding this goal.
We had 55 participants. Most were in person. We had a few participate virtually. We had over 930 thoughts from the thought exchange that was launched, which was really nice. We took all of that information, were able to consolidate it and produce a summary report, and we had breakout sessions to just finalize what the core competency category should be, what the supporting information should be, and now I'm going to synthesize all that information. I will report back to the group. I'll share that with you. And at the next meeting, we will have sample infographics presented. We had the public relations firm with us today. They'll take our information, all the ideas, a lot of very clever and creative ideas, really smart thoughts in the room, which was nice. And we have participants from our early childhood center all the way through 12th grade. So we'll be able to share an infographic very soon.
So then to wrap up, I have to do the HIV report. So I'm reporting the following data related to harassment, intimidation, bullying incidents in the Township School District. There were 5 incidents of HIV investigated since my last report. 2 of those cases were deemed to be actual cases of HIV.
Mr. Moffett, revisions to the agenda.
I'm happy to report we have no changes or additions to tonight's agenda.
Then at this point, we'll open to the public on agenda items only. This portion of the meeting is open to citizens for comment on agenda items only. Residents are asked to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. Comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person. Members of the public are discouraged from speaking negatively about an employee or a student. The board bears no responsibility for comments made by the public. Comments regarding employees or students cannot be legally responded to by the board. Other comments may be responded to tonight or at a subsequent meeting of the board business. Do I have a mover?
I'll move.
Mr. Towns, you do that. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on agenda items at this point? Oh, you want me to talk louder?
Use your outside voice.
Perfect, Angie?
Use
There
your
we go.
outside voice. You're coaching
Anyone from the
football.
public wishing to speak on an agenda item may come forward at this time.
Mr. President, seeing nobody approach, move to close.
Sit down, Mr. Giordano. Do I have a mover for the agenda?
I'll move the whole agenda. Second.
Okay, second. Cal, Mrs. Rigoloso.
I'm not aware, there was a question earlier about the personnel item, which will be confirmed at the next meeting, that was all discussed. Or at least,
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Mr. Fatal?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Mrs. Rigoloso?
Yes.
Mrs. Wente?
Yes.
Mr. Gisakos?
Yes.
And Mr. Pavlak?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations to Jennifer Layton. She's going to be one of our new art teachers in the district. Welcome to Layton. All right, this portion of the meeting is open to citizens for comments on any topic. Residents are asked to state their name, address, and any subject matter. Comments may be limited to 5 minutes per person. Members of the public are discouraged from speaking negatively. Comments may be limited to 5 minutes per person. Members of the public are discouraged from speaking negatively about an employee or a student. The board bears no responsibility for comments made by the public. Comments regarding employees or students cannot be legally responded to by the board. Other comments may be responded to tonight or a subsequent meeting under old business. Do I have a mover?
I'll move. Second.
Mr. Giordano, Mr. Fatal. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on anything, you may come forward.
Mr. President, seeing nobody approach, I move to close.
Second.
All right, any old business? New business, committee reports.
Yep.
Can we do committee reports?
Yes. Personnel Committee.
Go for it.
So on September 26th, via Zoom, myself, Mr. Pavlak, Ms. Wentig, Ms. Clark, Ms. Reichman, Mr. Moffitt, and I believe that's everybody met regarding the Personnel Committee. We reviewed the August 17th minutes. There was no questions with them as written. Ms. Reichman joined us regarding 2 programs that Montclair State's going to be partnering with the district, an Accelerated Administrator Certificate Program and a Paraprofessional Teacher Program. Both contracts were approved tonight, which is great news for the district, as we are, I believe, the only ones, correct? That are
From paraprofessional, yeah, para teacher, we're there
Yes.
first, yeah.
We did discuss the lead nurse description and the stipend attached to it. The Administrators Academy, Ms. Clark shared information about lunch and learn programs for aspiring administrators. And Ms. Clark also shared with us that she will be meeting with student teachers and identifying talent for potential future professionals. And a single-use contract discussion regarding the stipend for Ms. Tibbetts. And that's my report.
The Finance Committee met yesterday virtually on October 3rd, 2023. Board members in attendance were Mr. Pavlak, Mrs. Kazan, and myself. The administrators were Mr. Moffitt and Mrs. Leidig. We met at 5 o'clock. There were no changes to the September 6th, 2023 minutes, so we approved those. We went through agenda items, which included the financial reports for July and August 2023, contracts, which included evaluations and student therapies, a RFP for civil engineer, a record for due diligence projects for the referendum, a Montclair State University educational contract that the Education Committee was reviewing, transportation contracts, parent transportation, parent tuition contract, the clearing of outstanding checks that were over a year old that will be canceled. That this is done every year, so they were from the 2021-2022 school year. Disposal of obsolete equipment. And we also reviewed the donations, and we'd like to acknowledge the donations, and we want to let everybody know that we're very appreciative here in the district for these donations. We had a donation from Lou Avolio and Lou's Landscaping for the Annette Avolio Memorial Bench and flowering trees for Anthony Wayne Middle School. And we had a donation of a trailer from the Wayne Hills Band Booster Club for the Wayne Hills Band. And we also had a donation from the Wayne Hills PTO for shrubs and plants. So big thank you to those for those donations. We went through a shared service agreement for the library monitor for the after-school library aid. Approval of contracts, academic transition at William Patterson, any emergent ESEA grants, and facility projects. Mr. Moffett gave us an update, but we were talking about the new acting school business administrator was going through the first round, so he was moving through the ROD grants as of yesterday, so we had some response today. So no real change in referendum, nothing on the early childhood money. The business office finally closed out the fiscal 2023, so open enrollment began October 1st and it's running through October 30th, so the staff can make any changes that they might need to make. Let's see what else here. So they're phasing in departments that come back here at Nellis Drive. As you can see, there have been some nice changes to the building. We're also looking to do Zebra Pay to create efficiencies in helping the district pay referees and umpires for the various sports that we have here. They're closing out the IDEA, ESEA, and etc. Funds here. There will be an RFP for a geotechnical, I guess, engineer. The property proposals are due on the 12th. And there was an additional shared services discussion and the contract for the cove. So that was it.
Anyone else? Board member comments?
I have, I guess, a question. I was happy to see on the agenda the transportation agreement we had with the family of a student. And I'm wondering, how do families learn about it to see maybe we have more opportunities where we can, the way I would look at it, district can probably achieve some savings by having those agreements with the families and helping the family, maybe they need extra couple dollars in reimbursement of those kind of transportation agreements. So my question really was, how would one go about it if people were interested? Or would we want to maybe reach out and do a survey of families and say who would want to do this kind of thing? Because I think there's some savings in that somewhere, but I wouldn't know how to, but I mean, in my mind is, times are tough, so a lot of the families are probably not able, will come, whatever the amount is, I don't want to really say, because that's probably different depending on where the school is, but they would welcome whatever the amount is, and we wouldn't necessarily have to pay a corporation or a company, a large amount of money that we could probably investigate if we can achieve some savings.
So can you just ask your question?
So my
Just so I
question is,
understand.
can we maybe do a survey amongst the families who are utilizing the services, if there would be an interest to see if they wanted to kind of open the conversation? I think
So
that's
we already transport over 3,000 students a day.
right.
So they already are on our buses. So for the students that are already being transported at this point, generally speaking, there would be no savings. In other words, you have routes, you have students on those
Is it
routes.
No, I'm talking like the special ed, like when we do those
So
special agreements.
so that we already do. Ms. Moffett, you know, that there was why don't you talk about the way that we go about doing that?
Yeah, we did kind of talk about this in Finance Committee, so
Okay.
we will continue to talk about it, but there's a whole litany of things to kind of work down for issues of transportation, right? So if you're talking about a special ed student, there may be certain conditions that we can go out and potentially, we have our own routes, we have an option to potentially go to an outside company through a consolidator, because that's a way to utilize the resources and combine with other districts, so we do that. And then we potentially can then work down by splitting routes, identifying other things that could save time if the issue is, how to save money. I mean, I guess that's exactly
Yeah, I
the
mean, I
question,
was
is trying
looking
to-
at, because I looked at some of the agreements and they were in like the $50,000
How about
when
the
you
80s?
looked at, or 80s, like, so I'm looking at it from the point of view, if you have an agreement that's that much, maybe there is a way to take some of those students and the family would welcome whatever the amount we'd be offering if they would provide the transportation
do-
and we have that kind of saving. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, so in the case where you have a high value contract, so say there are cases that are $50,000. Some of those are usually tech connected with, you also have to have a paraprofessional and a nurse on the bus, so it's not just a student directly being transported to a school. There's additional services that are connected to that. Right? So some of those cases wouldn't necessarily work out, but in cases when it does make sense for the district, we do have a number of contracts with parents that allow them to transport their children, but it's on a case-by-case basis, not a blanket situation, because ultimately we do our best to provide transportation first.
What else?
I just wanted to acknowledge, thank, and recognize the family of our late board member, Mrs. Eileen Albanese, for setting up a scholarship in Wayne. Having attended the scholarship nights that we have here at both high schools, where we give out hundreds of scholarships, all of these donations are great. I don't know if many people in the public actually realize that, there are hundreds of scholarships that are given out by local businesses, local families, to our seniors at both of our high schools. So, big thank you.
What else?
I just want to add a comment. So I was lucky to attend Wayne Valley Back to School Night. I was back from vacation, and I wanted to commend all of the students who were there helping parents. They were the most loveliest, kind people, and were really on top of knowing where to go and how to send the parents. So I really want to make sure that they get recognized because they did a great job.
Talk to Mr. Francisco tomorrow, and
Yeah.
maybe this in the letter.
Yes, they did a really nice job.
Anyone else? All right, I just would like to make one comment. I've received several emails and phone calls over the past week or so. I wish to address the concerns that have arisen following the last board meeting. I want to assure the public and the board that the board takes this matter seriously and is committed to upholding principles of fairness, transparency, and respect in our meetings and in this time of the year. First and foremost, I'd like to emphasize the statements made by a board member are their own personal statements. They do not reflect the stance of the Board of Education as a whole. We have our attorney present at meetings to ensure that the discussion remains respectful and within the bounds of decorum. The attorney is empowered to step in when necessary to maintain order and stability in our proceedings. As a board, we believe that education of our children is a matter of the utmost importance, and it is critical that the Board of Education remains a place where diverse voices and perspectives are heard and respected. We will continue to work diligently to ensure that this process is conducted at the very highest levels of integrity for everyone, and everyone is treated fairly. I assure you, we will take all the necessary measures to address these concerns and uphold the values that are fundamental to the Board of Education. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.